Everyone, what's going on? It's me, Ivanna, and we are back for yet another episode of You Tried It with Ivanna. I am so excited to get this back up and running again. Today, I have a very special guest, and I have here with me the CEO and founder of Josephine and Billies, Whitney Beatty.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so happy to have you here because I know we kind of spoken a little bit prior, a couple weeks ago, just kind of talked about like your journey essentially. And it was so fascinating to me. I mean, it's not even just about working, in the cannabis industry or this like industry that's viewed as alternative or anything like that. I mean, you've had such a wide, a vast career. And so I definitely just want to dive into that. Before we do, I want to take a second and open the floor for you to share some good news with me. Like anything, whether it's personal, professional, just some good news that you'd like to share.
Good news.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me this year, my good news is that my store is going to be 5 years old in October.
Yeah.
And in cannabis years, that's like 50 million years old.
It
so
is.
I'm just grateful that we've been able to, to stay in our community and serve our community for that long. That is amazing to me. And every day people come in, I'm just so, grateful.
Yeah.
They're making my dreams come true by walking through my door.
That is absolutely amazing. And then you were at the store today, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
How was your store on a Sunday?
It's usually much calmer. Our busiest days are always Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But this Sunday is Ciclavia, and it's been crazy.
Yeah.
People riding past or what have you. But it's really cool to be a part of a community as vibrant as South Los Angeles. There's always something going on.
That is so cool, though. I absolutely love it. And so, like I said, I mean, your career has just been so fascinating to me. And you do have a store now. And where's your store located?
I'm on the corner of MLK and Dinker in South Los Angeles, just south of USC. Come stop. We're right across the street from the police station.
Yes, y'all are. And I've been in there before. And you have an amazing store. Like the staff is so sweet and everything too. Like I absolutely love being in your store. So I want to dive a little bit more into your background. Did you always start off in cannabis, or where was your beginning?
Oh, I absolutely did not start off in cannabis. I actually, I got my bachelor's degree in theater, and I got a master's degree in film production from Loyola Marymount. That's how I came out to Los Angeles. And I worked in the entertainment industry for like 15 years. My last job was I was an SVP of development over at Warner Brothers Telepictures, running day part syndication and reality TV. So I was developing TV shows.
That is so cool. Like, how do you even get into that position to be like senior vice president, right?
Yeah.
How?
I mean, I worked my way up like old school style. My first job out of grad school was working at William Morris, being an agency assistant. So I did it like I came by it honestly.
Yeah.
And then went into reality TV development right when it was really starting to get hot. Amazing Race was out and Survivor was out, and it was really like the birth of all these huge reality shows. And I knew that was something I was really interested in because I love real people's stories. I love going into someone's life and trying to figure out what's interesting about it and turning that into something worth watching.
Yeah.
But at the same time, after doing it for 15 or 16 years, one of the things that really dragged on me is the fact that I would go in and I'd pitch an idea, and I would literally have people say, well, that's not black enough. Or, can you have the people do this or that and the third? I'm like, I'm having non-black people tell me that the TV shows I'm developing are not black enough because the girls aren't throwing champagne in each other's faces and cussing each other out. And yet in my daily life, I have never, not once had someone throw champagne in my face, nor have I ever thrown any in anybody. That's not
our norm. We don't do that.
That's not what's happening out here.
No.
The whole genre has people confused about what is happening in black women's lives. And, even when I was doing stuff that I felt really strongly about, because I think you can do reality TV that cares about people, that really shows things that are important. I used to work for this company that made Intervention. I think that's a good example.
Okay.
That is something where you're seeing a world that you're not familiar with, but all of a sudden now people can understand why this work is so important.
Wow.
And I just, I knew that it was going to continue to get harder. And the other part of it is that I knew that I'd made a lot of money for my company, and I was never going to see any of that money
Oh.
in a very real way
Mm.
without building something myself. And so I was like, if I put half of the effort
Mhm.
that I put in to working for someone else and to working for myself, what could happen?
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, that just kind of makes me curious. Like, how did you go from that to transitioning into cannabis? Like, how do you do that?
it was wild. And I was going through a lot of life changes at that time. My son was first born. My dad died about 5 months later, and I had a big breakup. And all of these things, my life was kind of like, and I was like, what am I going to do for Whitney?
Right.
What does Whitney want? And at the same time, I had started, and I was getting into the cannabis arena.
Mhm.
And it was actually kind of odd because I'm not what you consider a standard cannabis person. I didn't grow up smoking weed. I didn't smoke in high school. I didn't smoke in college.
Okay.
Nancy Reagan told me to say no to drugs. I believed her. I didn't think that woman was lying to me. So I'm like, I didn't want to be the pancake girl on the couch. So I had.
Oh my God, that commercial triggered me so bad.
I'm like, it scared a whole generation of us.
Yes.
I'm like, terrible things will happen. But what happened was me working in entertainment, and you've been in that space as well. It can be stressful. You would think that we are doing brain surgery and saving lives on an everyday basis. I was working 16, 17, 18-hour days when we're in production. I'm staying up with the night editors so we can get to a new cut and send it to the network by 6 a.m. We were like going so hard in the paint. And I was living on Red Bulls and free espresso from the machine.
It's actually a very unhealthy environment.
Understatements.
Yeah.
Understatements.
Yeah.
So all this stuff was going on, and I'll never forget, I was sitting at my desk, and I started to get heart palpitations, like my heart was skipping beats.
Stop.
And I'm feeling like a cold sweat. My arm was aching. And I was like, oh my God, I am having a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack in this job. And I was also the only woman of color there. And I'm like, if they see me carried out of here on a stretcher, they're going to think I can't do this. So I got up, got in the car, drove myself to the UCLA Medical Center. I left my cars where the ambulance parked because I was like, if I'm going to die, tell this is stuff for you. So I went in and told them I was having a heart attack, and they, treated me like the emergency that it was. And so you see people with stab wounds or whatever. I'm going past like, I'm dying. You guys can wait. And they take me back and put me on the EKG machine, and they're like, ma'am, you're not having a heart attack. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you're having an anxiety attack. And I was like, number one, watch your mouth, because I am a type A personality, and we actually don't have anxiety. So worry about yourself.
Right.
But, with the facts being what there were, I had to figure this out. And my doctor tried to put me on lots of different things. I didn't really like any of the anti-anxiety drugs.
Oh, yeah.
And then as a side comment, she was like, well, have you looked at cannabis? And I was like, she is trying to put me on drugs. This woman is really trying to do me right now. So I was like offended.
Yeah.
But then I actually went home and thought about it more. And I was like, let me do a little research.
Right.
And I did that on two sides. One was learning about the plant. So I learned about the plant and CBD and THC and my cannabinoid system and entourage effects and all of these things. And I actually was able to find a good cannabis regimen that allowed me to come off of that medication. But I think what was more important for me is that I did some research into why I felt so negatively. And I was born in the late 70s, raised in the 80s in Detroit in the middle of the war on drugs or what have you. And so there is a lot of stigma out there.
Absolutely.
And it took me to educate myself about, so too women were using cannabis in childbirth in the 1400s. In the 1920s, cannabis was more widely used than Tylenol. Cannabis was banned by a man, Harry Anslinger, who said, reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men.
Yeah.
Like, seriously? That's a real quote, and now we're wondering why. I learned about the word marijuana was put on, the plant because they wanted to attach it to foreigners.
Specifically to Mexicans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And which is why I generally don't use the term marijuana. It's a racist
Correct.
term. So after opening my eyes to all of this, I was like, well, look, it just happened to be, this was 2015-ish, and we had not gone rec legal yet, but I could see that tides were turning.
It was on the horizon.
It was on the horizon.
Yes.
And as a consumer, being who I was executive or what have you, I knew that, simplest way to explain is I kept my wine in a wide fridge. You put your liquor in a bar, you put cigars in a humidor, but people kept high-end cannabis in a shoebox under their beds. Mm-hmm. And that didn't make sense to me because the people who I knew were using cannabis were not shoebox under your beds type people. Yeah. So how come there wasn't a good storage solution for it? So I saw a need on the ancillary side, and I was like, I wonder if I could make something. And I don't know what possessed me on that day, but it just took off. Okay. I ended up selling my house, using half the money to start my company, Apothecary. I joined a business accelerator down in San Diego. I was working 10-hour days, especially because I had my little one was like 2.
Okay, thank you. Because sorry to cut you off. Mm-hmm. That's really what I wanted to know too. Is like when it comes to creating a company, like you got to have some funding as well. Like you got to have money to make money in that sense.
People don't understand that.
Right? I'm like, where did you even turn to for that?
Literally, one of the joys of this business accelerator is that they invested $50,000 into you.
Wow.
But it was a full-time thing from 9 to 6 every 5 days a week in San Diego. I lived in LA. I'd always been in LA. And so what I was able to do, shout out to my baby daddy, like he would keep my kid, he came over in the mornings at 8 on Mondays at 6 a.m. and would take my son, and I would drive to San Diego. I'd make it there in time for 8 a.m. I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I left half of the day on Thursday to make it to daycare to pick my son up so I could have him Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, or what have you. And we did that for 3 months for me to be able to get through this program.
Wow.
And it changed the game for me because, again, I told you I was a theater major and I have a degree in film production. None of that says consumer product goods. And I'm not, supply chain management. I'm none of those things. And so I had to really teach myself all of those things. And I took all this, the money that I had and some investment money from my friends and family, and I bought 100 cases of these cases that I made. And I was like, I guess we gonna see what happens. Right. And back then, Kickstarter was a thing. Uh-huh. So I put it up on Kickstarter. I spent all this money for videos for Kickstarter, and we were going wild. And Kickstarter took me down around halfway through my campaign for being paraphernalia. And I was just devastated. Every penny that, was promised was gone.
And that happens to us a lot in this space too. It is very hard to even market your products on Instagram. I mean, because it's federally illegal, like they will shut you down. I was even nervous, even on the phone with you. Mm-hmm. I was nervous to even talk about like doing this podcast and publishing it because I'm like, I feel like YouTube might take it down or Instagram is going to cancel it too and take it down. Or
we get shadow banned. We get all those things happen. And it's really frustrating when it's not evenly applied. So I'm like, well, you let them do it and you let them do it and you let them do it. And then when I did it, you took me down. And I'm not going to lie, I was at a loss. I had spent the money. I was at the end of my rope. And I decided to just open a website. I opened a website, put 100 cases on the website. I'm like, at least then I can come back to the people who invested and said, I tried my best. Right. That's all I can do. And what ended up happening is we sold those 100 cases in 6 weeks with no advertising. Wow. And then I was like, oh, wow, I might be onto something. And the rest is history. I just kept on running. I came out of that business accelerator. And that was, interesting as well, because before I went into the accelerator, I had applied for something called ArcView Group, and they did these investment events for cannabis entrepreneurs. Okay. And I had applied to pitch with them, and they basically turned me down. They're like, your product, it's not a product market fit, and if people want this, they'll go buy a safe or whatever. They just didn't understand what my value proposition was. Mm. And by going through this program, part of it was every single day we had to get up and pitch our product. We had to pitch like we were pitching to investors, a tight 7-minute pitch with PowerPoint, and then they would rip it apart, and you spend the next day fixing it up again and hoping that you don't get, tossed out to the lions again. And by the time that I was done with that, I pitched them again, and the first time I think it's a 1 to 5 scale. I had like a 1.7. The next time I pitched, it was like a 4.8, and I got to pitch from the stage at their next ArcView event, and what they do is the person who wins from the stage gets a $50,000 investment, and they will, basically start their funding round. And I won from the stage at the LA pitch event in 2016 and won $50,000 from the stage and was able to open my round and really get some investments in. And so I got about $300,000 to start that company.
Wow. One thing about you is you are determined. I feel like once you get onto something, like once you got your mindset on it, it's no stopping.
Like a dog with a bone.
What's your sign?
I'm a Libra.
Oh, I love a Libra. Y'all are so business minded, and y'all weigh out the options literally
every single time.
And y'all don't play about your money.
We don't play about my money. And the best way to get me to do something is tell me I can't do it. Then I'm like, you don't know me.
I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna have you watch me do it. Watch this.
I can show you better than I can tell you.
Yeah, that is so crazy. Okay, so quick question on your with Josephine and Billies. I mean, it does say it's powered by off the charts, or like, can you explain that partnership, I guess, to me as well?
We were able to do a partnership with them a couple of years ago, as they were bringing together a lot of the other social equity dispensaries, but we're not owned and operated by them. I still remain the CEO, or what have you. So that's kind of how that goes.
Okay.
We have been like I said, in operation for 5 years. And when I started JB, we were independent. And what's the best way to say this? What I learned working in this space is that by group buying makes a huge difference. Being able to not be by yourself, and those things make a huge difference. So I'm grateful for them to be able to help us do some of those things.
Okay. Can you explain the name to me behind Josephine and Billies?
Absolutely. So the name of the store pays homage to Josephine Baker and Billie Holiday, who are two women of color who were persecuted for cannabis consumption. And yet they used their art to fight against injustice, and they rejected the mainstream, and they wrote their own rules, all while really holding the door open for people who would come after them. And to me, that's goals AF. That's what I want to be in this place. And that's why I really chose that direction for the store. Even when I went out and, rec legalization came, and then the idea of social equity came behind it. And social equity in the cannabis space is the idea that communities of color have been disproportionately disenfranchised by the war on drugs for years.
Correct.
And in legalization, they deserve some prioritization in licensing. Simple enough. And so the first program for that happened in Oakland. I'm a vice president of Supernova Women. It was one of the...
I'm familiar, yes.
So Supernova Women at that time was very involved in getting that off the ground. Then it went to San Francisco. Then it came down to LA. And so I was like, wow, this is actually, maybe I should consider being plant touching, because apothecary doesn't touch the plant. So you get a little bit more leeway on bank accounts and all those things when you're not touching the plant. But I knew, to do something in the actual plant touching, you need a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what I really wanted was to be able to serve my community, because what I knew for sure is that women of color are the most stressed cohort out there. That's what the data shows us. And yet they have the least access to healthcare. And when they do have access to healthcare, doctors don't necessarily believe them. And when the doctors do believe them, they can't always afford that medication. So in a lot of ways, access to cannabis is a public health issue. It's, there's a lot of things that cannabis can do. The vast majority of people who use cannabis end up taking less prescription medications, taking less other medications because of that cannabis use.
Absolutely.
And if we talk about homeopathic remedies and we talk about plant medicine all the time, we need to do so with that same energy for the cannabis plant. And I realized what would help doing that is giving people more information. Yeah. I was tired of going to dispensaries and feeling, number one, you feel like a criminal.
You do.
I'm like, why y'all need this much bulletproof glass? And if you need this much bulletproof glass, maybe I need to be back there with you.
Sometimes they look at you so crazy, like you're not even supposed to be in there. It's like, listen, I know what I want. I just need like some CBD, please, or I'm just trying to get something like for my mom's arthritis, or like I also have anxiety as well. It's like I know what I want. Let me just go in and out. But it is such. I don't want to use the term dehumanizing, but like the process is kind of crazy.
It's pressure, and it's funny because even in this time, I can still feel pressure, and I've been in this industry for 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just give me the fire. I don't know. I'm like,
yes.
But what people really want is to be able to say, what are you using the cannabis for? And that will kind of guide your experience. What we know now from the research and the data is that sativa and indica are terrible ways to describe how the plant is going to
They're all
treat
hybrids,
you.
kind of.
Everything is a hybrid
Yeah,
these days, 99.9%.
Yeah.
And what you really need to be looking at the terpene profile. So we designed the store around terpene profiles. We have a terpene profile card for each item that goes up there because we get the, the COAs. We know
I love that education base as well. You're teaching people this is what this provides and this is what you can receive.
Exactly.
I love that.
So now we can talk about, what type of experience are you trying to do something, how for recreation, or how you want to feel after this. I want to feel sleepy. I want to feel energized. I want to feel giggly. I want whatever that is. I want to feel focused and be able to clean the house. I'll say, then, I got this and it's got pinene in it, and pinene is good for that. Or it's got terpinolene in it and it's good for energy, or limonene, which is going to be, an uplifter.
Limonene is my girl.
She is that girl.
My girl. You touched a little bit too on, legalization and just understanding like the politics of things, Prop 64. And then prior to that, I am curious, are you involved in like local politics, or do you go to like local regulations, hearings and meetings? And how involved are you in that? Because I know it's a lot. I wanted to go myself, but they have my stuff at such obscure times.
They do, and I think they do it on purpose.
Tuesday at 2 p.m. It's like, I can't make that.
Tuesday at 8:30 meeting that I've been to way too many times. I got to kick my child out of the car. I can't even slow down. I just kind of roll them out of the vehicle and rush downtown.
Exactly.
In order to work in this space, you kind of have to be an advocate, and that's what it is. So on the city level, I sit on the social equity working group for the city of Los Angeles. That's their working group where we talk about cannabis-focused issues, and they kind of get some feedback on what's going on actually in the industry. Again, I told you I sit on the board of Supernova Women as vice president. Supernova is a 501c3 that seeks to encourage women and people of color to become stakeholders in the cannabis industry through education, advocacy, and networking. So I work with them. I work with Sarah, the Cannabis Equity Retailers Association for the people in Los Angeles. I also work with the Black Los Angeles Cannabis Council. I sit on their executive board. So I do a lot of those sort of things. I'm at city council meetings. I've met with my city council person. I've met with the city council president. I've gone to meet with the mayor's office because at the end of the day, we've got problems in this industry. There are very real issues, and not the least of which is the incredibly high tax base. We're in a city where there are more trap shops than Starbucks. And yet they're expecting that these legal dispensaries are charging 38% taxes on everything, and then wondering why the number of legal shops being successful is plummeting. Last year they said that 38% of the cannabis sold in California is sold in the legal market. So what that's telling me is that about 60% is still sold in illegal spots.
Wow.
And half the time people don't even know they're walking into illegal spots.
Wow.
I would know instantly because, they don't have a license number on the door. They're got those big glass jars and you can smell and all that stuff, because all of that is not legal in the legal market. But we're in a world where we've got 15% excise tax. I got a 9.75% sales tax.
California sales tax. I was about to say there's that on top of it too.
And then I still got a local 10% tax. And that's where I've been, really hammering home with the city council and also the Cannabis Regulatory Commission, because it's not indicative of any other industry. There's nowhere that's getting this sort of crazy taxes put on it. Not liquor, not tobacco, which we both know those are much worse.
Literal poison.
And that part. So what's ending up happening is, because of that and the lack of access to banking, lack of access to loans, we can't go to Bank of America or, Citibank and get a business loan.
What would you say is the biggest hurdle that you had to get over? Or is it even one thing?
Financing. Beyond the pale is financing. Because where do you get the money from? It's great to say, people of color are going to be prioritized in this. But it's almost like I compare it to if I gave you a certificate that said that you can now open a nuclear plant. If I give you the certificate, it's nice, it's pretty, but without the money and the technical know-how, you're not going to be a nuclear plant owner.
No.
They're like the paper pretty, but you're not going to be able to actualize that. And that's the situation that we're seeing here. The city of Los Angeles has $400 million in unpaid cannabis taxes from its cannabis businesses. I think they said 73% of businesses out there owe the city money. And it was because
I believe it.
the cost of doing business is so high and the returns are so low because we are still fighting with the trap. There's 6 trap places around me within a mile. How am I going to beat them out on pricing when I'm paying 38% and knowing good and well that there's not enforcement going on against these people? But we have to pay, heavy licensing fees. We have to pay taxes. We have to, be heavily regulated. So you can't ask all those things of this industry and then allow a flourishing illicit market. And it's one of the things that drove me crazy about in our last election. CB was on the ballot. And that was a measure to say we want to tax illegal operators and, charge them regular cannabis tax. And of course, people voted for it because it's like that. Well, that makes sense. They'll get regular. Number one, if someone is running an illegal cannabis business, do you believe that they are going to pay those taxes? They didn't sign up for a license. They didn't do all those things, but they're going to pay those taxes. That sounds crazy to me.
Yeah.
And it's not even extra cannabis taxes. It's just the ones that we're paying to the city. Now, that means that they're not paying excise taxes. They're not paying the state sales tax.
They're not getting tested.
And if they do pay that money, so if they did go and pay that money, then what is the value for the city to go and shut them down? Because now they're getting their money. So they're not shutting them down now. Are they going to shut them down when they are paying in theory? These are all things that I find.
Those are very important questions. And I think that we were not really aware of what that portion was asking and what that looks like. So can we just think ahead, like what, as you just provided, what would that look like, 3, 5, 10 years down the line? They're still that would essentially kind of allow them to still be in operation, low key.
There absolutely is encouraging them to continue in operation.
Right.
And so what we're seeing is the most enforcement in cannabis by far is actually by the CDTFA, which is the Cannabis Department of Tax and Fee Administration. They're the ones that collect excise tax. They're the ones that collect sales tax. And they're the ones that will come and raid your business, with 15 people and guns to come and get their money. They've done it to a lot of businesses, a lot of the smaller equity shops, because they can't afford the taxes. They don't pay them. And then they get ran through. And they drove past 8 illegal dispensaries to get to the legal one.
To that one, correct.
Who hasn't paid their taxes yet.
That's a lot. So knowing what you know now, going through, the whole process that you've gone through already for the past several years, what advice would you give young Black entrepreneurial women, to starting from scratch, starting from square one? What is your advice?
Educate yourself is number one. So right now I'm teaching for the county of Los Angeles has a cohort of, they are eventually about to open a social equity plan for this county. So that's an unincorporated areas of LA County. Okay. You could get cannabis license and be able to open a business. So we are doing classes right now. So it's like a 7-week program that's happening 4 times in the next 5 months or what have you. 1 night a week, and it's free. Wow. So what I love about that is that I get to give the next generation of cannabis business owners a lot more insight and be able to open their eyes to things that I wish someone would have told me. I wish someone would have told me in the beginning, because when I started, we were doing our financials based on, really loose numbers, because no one knew what dispensaries were making. The only people who were in retail at the time were people who had transitioned from the other market. So they were very insular, and they didn't want us to have our licenses anyway. So they definitely wasn't giving us any information.
Absolutely.
And that gatekeeping just didn't make sense to me, because there's enough business out here for all of us. Like I said, 60% of the market is still buying on the other side of the aisle. They're still not even buying in our store. There's a lot of business out here for us, or what have you. So what does it hurt me to tell people, oh, I wish I would have known this, or this is how much this costs. This makes this realistic, or what have you.
I love that you have that mindset too, because I've come across, some sometimes our people, they got it really bad. And it's not even just in one specific industry either. It spans, I think, multiple industries where sometimes they get to a certain place and then they want to close the door up behind them. And it's just like, what about all this information, education that you can provide to people who are just starting out? Like, it's so important.
It's crabs in a barrel mentality, and
Yeah.
it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I lose anything by telling you,
You
oh,
don't.
this is, this or this is that. I would love to see more diversity in this industry,
Correct.
full stop. We're still in a space where, Jamal could be in jail for selling weed, where Chad has a dispensary on his corner. I'm
Make it make
like,
sense. And that is the reality for so many people now too. And I
Absolutely.
absolutely hate that. I do want to, we're about to wrap this up here in a little bit, but on the brighter side too, where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years? Do you plan to open another store, or what's next for you?
That's a great question. I mean, I really enjoy this space. I really enjoy being able to teach people, through the education that we do in store. Like, I have a class called Tea and Terps. We do a 90-minute session with
That's so
people.
cute.
We serve tea, regular tea, and talk through the history of cannabis and how to best use it. And like those sort of things I love to do. I think that over the next few years, licensing is going to be bigger. I'd like to see us be able not to just sell our things on our shelves, but on other shelves. I'd like to be able to do deals for other locations outside of the state. But also, I think I really enjoy teaching people about this industry and being able to share that information. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do more of that, help build these programs, and make sure that they're giving people, what they need to have a fair shot at a successful business.
I absolutely love that. And something about it's also your approach is you have an advocate mindset as well. It's not just a businesswoman, which of course you are, but I mean, you also are about the community, which I really love. And I think that it's very difficult to work in these industries and not be community minded. You know what I mean? You have to think about those around you. And we also just want to give a quick little special shout out. This episode is sponsored by Halara. I absolutely love the good people at Halara. For Pride Month, actually, they just released a vape actually for Pride Month, and the proceeds are benefiting Lyric. 10% of the proceeds donated to Lyric is an LGBTQ youth center based in San Francisco. The flavor is lychee goji berry tea.
Ooh.
So shout out to Halara again. Thank you so much for sponsoring us. And they are another company as well who I think are they have an advocate type of mindset. They're very community based as well. So personally, I'm an independent producer, and I love just being able to meet with people who are not, again, just interested in, let me gather all of these things for me and then close the door behind me and then say, well, I don't know, you got to figure it out for yourself. So I absolutely love that about you as well. And
Thank you.
No, absolutely. And I guess my last question too for you is, well, how do you think that people could combine their love of cannabis and media as well? Because you get shadow banned, should people still continue? Should we try to find different workarounds? Or what is your advice from a media executive as well, like you?
Oh, I mean, it remains very difficult.
Yeah.
I've had our Instagram taken down on 3 separate occasions. It makes me very wary to post on that because of that. And so, it becomes 2 things. I tell entrepreneurs to make sure that you own your audience. And what that means is that the only way that you reach your customer base is on Facebook or on Instagram or on TikTok. That's really dangerous because it could disappear the next day.
Absolutely.
And you've lost all of those people. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you're converting them into your own text blast, into your own email blast, or what have you. Our most effective marketing always goes to the people who are already invested in us as a business, and generally people who have already stepped foot inside our store. And then the other side of that is think outside the box when you're thinking about how you approach that media. One of the things that we did that was really successful for us, even though we eventually had to take down those posts as well, is I did a series called Send This To. And it was each episode was like, send this to your aunt who thinks that, this newfangled cannabis is way too strong, or what have you. And really, then we got to debunk that. Or send this to someone who, swears up and down that indica is the only thing that can make them sleepy. And it just allowed us to really have, and people did. They sent it to these people or whatever, and it was like targeted and it was informational. Those are the things that really end up getting engagement. And I always suggest people go that way instead of, again, spewing out, oh, this is fire, because the real truth of the matter is what's fire for me isn't necessarily fire for you.
Everybody is different.
Every single solitary person is different, and we have people always who are chasing that THC percentage, but we don't all go to the bar and drink Everclear every day because it has the highest alcohol content, because Everclear is strychnine. As much, and the same thing with cannabis. You have to, think, if you looked at it like a liquor, some people like wine, some people like beer, some people want tequila, Jack, or rum. That's how cannabis is too. So being able to give people more insight about how to have the best experience with the plant brings more people into our world.
I love that. And on that note, I am all about giving people their flowers while they are alive. While we're talking about flowers, I do have a nice little bouquet here for you.
Oh, thank you.
I hope your
I do.
Too bad.
Oh, they're beautiful.
These are for you.
Thank
yes.
you.
And I also have a little care package as well from Halara.
Ooh, we love Halara.
We'll give that over to you as well.
Thank you.
Of course. We got a nice little sweater in there. Yes, ma'am.
That's great.
Before we close this out, though, I do want people to be able to find you. I've read a couple articles about you, of course. I mean, I stalked you. I had to. But that's called research. So where can we find you?
You can always find me at Josephine Billies. We're at 1535 West Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard at the corner of Denker. You can find JB online at www.josephineandbillies.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Josephine and Billies with an S. And you're going to have to type the whole thing out because we are saddle banned. We don't show up until you enter the whole thing. And then you can find me personally on Instagram as the Hi Mommy Life, where I'm just sharing things about being an entrepreneur and being a mom and trying to change people's idea about what consumption looks like in a modern era.
Amazing. Well, thanks again so much for taking some time out of your day to come and meet with me. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Absolutely. And this has been yet another episode of You Tried It with Ivanna. And you can find me on all things at Hey, I'm Ivanna. And I will see you again for the next episode. Bye, y'all. Take care.